Hello, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's panel, Rethinking Growth Strategy for Emerging Chains from Infrastructure to Ecosystem. My name is Mio Dio. I am Head of Business Development for Holdstation, and I'll be your moderator today. Holdstation is an EVM and Solana compatible wallet, which is proudly serving 1.5 million verified users. Our aim is to simplify payments and digital asset management for the new generations of Vietnam and globally as well. So that is a little bit about me. Today, we have a very interesting topic, and we have a great and diverse panelists here. So may I just introduce everyone? So this is Seraya, Ecosystem Success Manager from Web3 Foundation. Seraya, could you help introduce a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I've been with the Web3 Foundation for 3.5 years. At the Web3 Foundation, we focus on building a decentralized and trustless web, where the user comes first, where the user is in charge of their own identity, of their own data, and ultimately of their own destiny. And we do that by focusing on the Polkadot ecosystem now and also for many years already.
Thank you, Seraya. And the man in the middle here is Wilson Zhang, a strategy and operations lead from Mantle. Wilson, can you introduce about yourself to the crowd?
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending the panel. I'm Wilson, and I lead strategy and operations at Mantle. Mantle, we started out as an Ethereum layer 2, but now we're expanding our ecosystem and trying to build the blockchain for banking. And actually, we have a huge Vietnam community who's invested in our MNT token. So just wanted to say thanks for the support. Look forward to talking more about it today.
Thanks, Wilson. And the gentleman to his right is Andrew Kim, head of APAC for Galxe and Gravity.
Yes, hi. Andrew here from Galxe. Galxe is a Web3 go-to-market platform. We've been facilitating from pre to post-TG projects. Currently have about 7,000 partnerships with 50 chains integrated. Gravity, on the other hand, we're developing an L1 that's coming up very soon. Really appreciate having me here in this great opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Calvin Chu, a core contributor of Impossible Finance.
Hey guys, Calvin from Impossible here. Maybe as the only one here that doesn't have a chain yet, maybe I'll represent Viction too. I'm excited to be here, and Impossible is an early stage incubator and advisor to many of the projects that are here during this trip. So really excited to share a little bit more of what we see as well in APAC, as well as what we're seeing across all the infrastructure that you guys are building as well.
Thanks, Calvin. So our speakers today are very eager to discuss about main topic, chains, and what is currently working and what may need to be changed. So maybe I start with the first question, is that in your view, what is the one thing that clearly no longer works in 2025, but that new chains are still doing when trying to build an ecosystem? I think for this question, I will ask Andrew first. You have a lot of experience.
In terms of not working, I would say I've been in the space, by the way, for almost 9 years now. Been working with different foundation before, previously joining Galxe. Having said, I feel like the clarity of the industry is happening right now. And a lot of projects still kind of operate or market or like strategize in terms of go-to-market strategy alongside a global aspect. But you got to really understand the geolocation culture of things that's happening in the specific geolocation. So for instance, like Korea, I'm actually based in Korea. A lot of projects come to Korea to get listed, pretty much. But in terms of how they engage with users, I think it's becoming more clear that a lot of projects should really consider the audience's background culture, how they accept the cryptocurrency or blockchain industry. At the same time, there's not an equation to become like a global project. I feel like it's becoming more targeted, very specific in terms of how we should definitely engage with the geolocation audiences moving forward. So that's my kind of like take on this. A lot of projects still think that global, just announcing airdrops or doing a lot of marketing is still working. But I think it's a little bit more detailed now and very specific to really engage and make something out of it right now.
Thank you. Definitely a very interesting take. More custom strategy might just work more for regions because we do have different culture and different attention. And I wonder if Seraya also want to add to what is currently working for most layers that are building these days.
Sure. So I think what used to work in the early days of crypto, just building in kind of in isolation, that does not longer work anymore because there's so much competition out there, so many different ecosystems, so many chains and applications, that now it becomes more and more important to work together with other projects and other chains and having this kind of interconnected ecosystems. So much of what we do at Polkadot with shared security, where we have a network of blockchains rather than just one blockchain. And the same is happening in the Ethereum space with Mantle, for example, right? And I think that helps leveraging the network effects that exist between the different ecosystems.
Thank you, Seraya. I think Wilson has something to say since you mentioned each chains.
Yeah, sure. I think just echoing what Andrew and Seraya said, I think number one, being able to build an ecosystem around your technology and infra stack is what's going to differentiate your project in today's world. Andrew's point on the diversity of different cultures and knowing how to target different demographics is so important if you want actual stickiness of users, right? I remember the last cycle, airdrops, yield farming was a huge thing, but now with so many projects on the market, so many chains out nowadays, you got to ask yourself, what kind of moat am I building, right? And in the Mantle ecosystem, I think we're building something called, I like to think of it as like an app store, because we're trying to build interoperability, but also getting users to stay on our platform, to transact, to engage in DeFi, to spend their crypto using our rails. So our ultimate goal is to abstract the blockchain complex Web3 aspects of it and give users a friendly interface that they can just use seamlessly in their daily life. And I think that's our goal in the next 5 years, to build this on-chain finance platform.
Thank you. I think it's very important as well to simplify the process of users interacting with the chain. It doesn't have to be so techy and with all the jargons all the time. Calvin, what do you think about the scene right now? Very competitive. What are they doing wrong, and what needs to be changed?
Yeah, so I'm not a marketing guy, so some of this is also I have to give credit to our marketing team for reframing how we think about this. I think all of you guys mentioned about how airdrops and other things are kind of old metas, points, remember points, everyone, right? All of these types of structures I think are interesting as a hook, but not necessarily capturing long-term attention, right? Obviously, Galxe was one of the very first questing platforms that we had in this space, and trying to gamify the experiences to get users to use our products longer term is still a tough challenge that I would say if you just say only doing a quest, when I remember even Impossible, we were the second team ever to run a Galxe quest back then for our own community, and we gave away an NFT badge back then, right? all of the things that we got to see in the early days, you still have to keep evolving what you're building and what you're trying to drive as a conversion for your own business. And I think I would want to leave with the audience with this concept of hooks are good, but keeping people to stay in the seats, to listen, to use your products, to continue in these ecosystems is the hard part. And I think if you only simplify things to just the hook, which I think the airdrops and the points are interesting for, but you don't develop anything further, then there's no reason why these users have to stay whatsoever.
So basically, airdrops is like walking through a door. And now you make your guests comfortable enough to stay, right?
Yeah, if you don't like what we say on this panel, you can also exit the door, right? We have nothing to stop you.
Well, it takes time. Get comfy. I can see that we've all established here that many chains these days follow a familiar path. They raise funding, they hype for a launch of testnet, then mainnet, then they try to attract a wave of airdrop farmers and mercenaries, developers. Let's put it like that. It creates service level activity, but not real commitment. From your perspective, what can an ecosystem do differently from day one to stop getting stuck in a cycle of attracting short-term builders and short-term users? May I ask Seraya?
Sure. So I think one thing that we have seen is also with hackathons, we saw a lot of this kind of mercenary behavior where devs jump from ecosystem to ecosystem to get the rewards, but then they don't stay in that very ecosystem they build the products on and just simply abandon the projects, right? And if you want to build an ecosystem, from that perspective, of course, that's not what you want. So there, for example, with hackathon organizers, what we have seen is that they're experimenting with more multi-stage kind of hackathons, where you have an initial hackathon, but to retain the devs, you have many more milestones in the future, where they get paid if they keep working on their products, right? And the same is true, I think, for grant programs, and also when it comes to the people you work with, you should put more emphasis on what their intentions are and figure out if they're aligned with your ecosystem and if they're just in for like a quick buck or if they're long-term thinkers that want to solve real problems. So kind of brings us back to the topic, solving real problems versus just chasing hype, right? So obviously it's better to keep incentivizing those builders that are actually able and also interested in building useful products that bring a lot of value to the people in the long run.
Yes, so multiple stage hackathons and more structured incentivizing for builders. And what else was that?
I mean, treating kind of treating the devs not as this anonymous kind of teams, but building relationships with them and helping them grow, and also identifying the right people to work with, right?
Yes.
Identifying those that are aligned with the ecosystem and that have a long-term vision, and those that are true believers in the problems that they're actually solving,
Yes.
rather than this kind of more mercenary behavior.
Yes. I mean, like a long-term alignment is very important. I think like Wilson might have had a lot of experience in such issues, maybe. So could you also share your thoughts?
Yeah, a modest amount of experience, but I guess it's a perfect opportunity to shill a bit of the Mantle developer program. So at Mantle, we're known to be a DeFi ecosystem. We have a lot of DeFi projects on there, but I think our branding, it's a result of long-term alignment of, being the chain that supports developers across the funnel and the lifecycle, right? We have, without getting into the weeds here, we have a top fund incubator program for early stage projects. We then have grants designed for projects with PMF, and then even more advanced projects that are looking for the seed round or further fundraising. So long story short, once we have our mandate, which in the past has been AI payments and now more of this institutional finance angle, once we have those mandates, we're just laser focused on securing quality developers and projects to build with us long term. We don't just give them the grant and let them YOLO it. We're going to provide advice. We're going to expand our network, connect them with experts in the industry, and hopefully they can TGE and bring value to the chain. And I think that's the long-term mentality you got to have as a project.
So it's very important to work closely with the builders that you are having, advise them, help the network, anything that could support them to really make it a big bang for their project. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this topic?
I think everyone kind of gave the good point about the grant program. I do have a little more kind of wanted to add a different perspective on this. Since the launch of ICO boom, and we've been through so much for the past 10 years, right? New chains coming up. I do feel like we need to really focus on a sector-specific grant program. The way I kind of see it is that you've seen success stories of specific DEXs in an ecosystem, or DeFi lending protocols or PayFi payments. Having said, the grant program should only supplement at a stage of a certain point of the project itself. But having said, I do feel like it's a stage where we should really think about where the narrative of the chain is, and also how much focus we're going to put in, and what specific amount of resource that we're going to focus on. Because there are equations already. I think it's working for different ecosystems nowadays, rather than just giving out, as you said, like giving out amounts to like the broader audience in the broader sectors.
Very important to actually vet even when giving out the grants. I think as more chains popping up, also the builders, they could have very good vision, but it's important to see if it's a capable team or not as well, right? Do you want anything to add on this particular front, Calvin?
Yeah, I think these guys already covered a lot, so I'll save some words for the next one.
Thank you. My next question is probably most people sitting in this room might have seen the Hyperliquid recent approach, which is very interesting case. So there has been a long time, the dominant mindset was build infrastructure first, then the apps will come. But this year we are seeing a real shift. More teams are starting with a strong and focused application, or either like leveraging an existing platform that has users already to bootstrap their ecosystems. Hyperliquid, as I mentioned, is a clear example. They did a purpose-built chain for a single exchange app that are now expanding onwards to being a chain. Or like even Ton, they wanted to try to capture Telegram's user base first. So given these scene, do you think it is becoming a new blueprint for launching ecosystem? And also, what do you see is the biggest pros and cons with this product first or user first approach compared to the traditional infra first model? Wilson, this is something that I'd love to know your opinion about.
Yeah, thanks. This is a really interesting question because the crypto economy now more than ever, it's an attention economy. So I guess you can build a perfect product, but if you're not really building to solve real world problems, i.e. people are actually using your chain for value, then you might be hot for a month or two, and then liquidity is going to leave your ecosystem. So I think this approach of building an app is so important because again, using the App Store analogy, it's the door that allows users to enter your ecosystem and eventually associate your ecosystem with a certain idea. For instance, we're actually rolling out this crypto neobank in Q3, so like in a month or so. And our neobank, it's quite interesting. It settles completely on chain, and users can essentially use it, get a Swiss bank account, and then integrate it entirely with their everyday finances. And in the future, potentially even allowing users to passively earn yield with our liquid staking protocol and other stuff in the ecosystem. So I think to wrap things up, we're building this UI, this OS, right, which is the neobank that faces the users. And then behind it, it's all the abstracted good stuff, the DeFi yields, the quick L2 settlement times, etc. So I think if you want to capture attention and get stickiness and get users to stick with your platform, you have to start simple, keep it simple, but not too simple.
Understood. Simple and useful. Calvin, do you wanted to add anything with this thought about this approach?
Yeah, so where do we start? I think this one's actually a really good one to dive deeper in, because I think from our perspective as a early stage guy spending a lot of time on the acceleration and incubation side, I don't think people realize how much experience and knowledge the Hyperliquid team have. So I'll share a bit of my own experience as well. I got to meet the co-founding team of Hyperliquid before they started, when they were still trading at Hudson River Trading previously. As a ex-Binance alumni, I think this is a common story that you'll see from many of us that come from exchanges where we've seen a lot of these trading firms, and these people have innate experience at the highest level trading as a VIP 9 trader at Binance. So when we think about like this user-centric approach, or what you guys mentioned about like having something simple, the reality is that Hyperliquid might feel or look somewhat simple, but behind the scenes, there are a lot of the pain points and things that they, as a founding team, have run into themselves as traders. And they started from just the quote unquote simple pain point of solve everything that you need yourself first. When you're your own first customer, I think it's a very powerful type of mindset to say that this is something where everyone on your own team actually wants to solve this problem because they run into this problem themselves. So I think the way that we've looked at the Hyperliquid ecosystem as it's been growing is not just it's a fair token distribution, or it's a better perp dex than other things. I think it's more about when you have a founding team that knows the problem that they've spent so much time on, it's something that we ourselves find as a much more gratifying experience, when it's not like they're reinventing the wheel themselves either. They already know what they feel is missing on a trading experience that they want. And I'd say, compared to other ecosystems, I would say, the approach towards having a single focus, I'd also say it has also failed other chains too. I will give an example of, I think you guys have been very early in two ecosystems that we really liked at the time, Berachain and ZK Sync at Holdstation, right? ZK Sync, I think, had definitely this ZK narrative to try to get more of these types of builders interested in this use case. And then Berachain, of course, had the proof of liquidity. Even when you have that singular focus, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to actually build apps that people want to use in these ecosystems. I think as an app, Holdstation is a very simple app that people on their day-to-day need to use in each of these ecosystems. But I think what Hyperliquid got right within their ecosystem is that the common denominator of why everyone is there, it was actually not even to say, do you need to trade on-chain or not on-chain? It's just trade is one word, right? If we need to explain everything, and even I think Wilson's highlighting it in the passive yield and savings point, every step that we reduce for the users to think about, and you can just do everything in one place, I think that's the one magical piece that I think Hyperliquid has done a lot better on than other ecosystems. It still has a long ways to go in terms of having other types of things. We've seen more lending protocols, as Andrew mentioned, in terms of the other kind of DeFi primitives start to come on the Hyper EVM. But I do think that still more teams are trying to build mobile-first experiences, sign in with Google and these types of abstracted wallets, abstracted gas, a lot of people are still building these infra pieces. And the way that we think about it as an advisor or incubator of projects is that there's still a lot of things that the core exchange itself will not do. And that means there's opportunities for builders to go fill those gaps.
Wow, I think that's an amazing answer. You really cut it to the point of Hyperliquid team being having innate ability to focus on solving their problem for a very long time. Well, this kind of inspire and transpire to the users. They only care about doing one thing and one thing right, which is trading. I also think it's a great approach, all airdrop and token distribution aside. Andrew, is there something you want to add with this new strategy?
I think Calvin brought up a good point. Just want to add into the comments there. I think when we call blueprint, like people assume like everything kind of worked out in certain equation. There's no blueprint. Yeah. So I've seen quite a handful of projects that been benchmarking Hyperliquid to become the next Hyperliquid. You've seen that from Uniswap, OpenSea in the past. I think there's always a pros and cons to actually follow the first mover, but at the same time, you got to really think about what's, as Calvin mentioned, I think the core value that you want to provide and who you're targeted towards, the audience. I think that's going to simplify not just the equation, but the way you strategize in terms of launching the product and actually engaging with the users at a product level. Yeah, just want to add to that.
Can I add one more thing to that? I think I really subscribe to your point on this blueprint point. If maybe I'll be the one in the room that says I don't believe in any blueprints, because I think at Binance, you guys would all hate crypto if we just did the Coinbase blueprint for crypto exchanges. Like everything that we have loved in this space has always been to push the boundaries, right? Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Sometimes we end up with FTX cases too. So I'm not saying that everything on the innovation side is perfect, but obviously I think just because someone else has done it a certain way doesn't mean it's a formula is a really important, I think, ethos that we have to the way that we think about building stuff, right? For Wilson, for you guys inside the Mantle ecosystem, of course, like thinking about this neobank of getting real users, like if every chain just thinks about it as let's go get another lending protocol, right? Like then clearly that's not going to bring enough innovation to capture the minds of regular users, right? Seraya, on your side, you know, obviously the legacy of Polkadot and how many teams use Substrate in the space now too, right? That you guys are oftentimes seen as, I think, one of the most performant infrastructures to tap into for a lot of teams that might have these localized licenses or what was the word that they used in 2018? The private chains and these consortium chains and these types of things for TradFi use cases that obviously everybody that's like seeing the technology that we have here, that's one thing, but the implementation of how do we get users to care about what we're building, I think is another one. And I think it's really important that we're honest to say that just because there's a blueprint of somebody else doing it this way doesn't mean we have to go copy paste it.
I totally agree. I also don't believe in copying a blueprint. Does it even exist? I think it's very important as we do work in the field of technology to always change. Always need to find out what needs to be optimized and what could be done better. Seraya, do you have any comment on the current new approaches of Hyperliquid or like a ton by acquiring users first?
I think a lot has already been covered, but I want to maybe elaborate on the parachain thing. So, yeah, our parachains, it's kind of like roll-ups in Ethereum, right? But quicker and cheaper. And even though we have one of the best tech out there, I think we kind of have ignored for a while the smaller kind of builders, because so far, when you wanted to build on Polkadot, you had to build your own parachain, and that actually comes with a lot of costs. So a lot of resources. So even though the rollup mechanism itself is very very affordable compared to a more traditional kind of Ethereum rollup, operating the chain is more costly definitely than when compared to a smart contract, right? So this is why we're also launching the Polkadot Hub, which is a EVM compatible chain, and we're tapping into this pool of developers as well. So this kind of goes well with what I think Andrew mentioned before. Like, you have to really know your customer and the needs of them, and in this case, the customers are the small builders, so not like the end customer, not the trader or the user of the dev, but the dev. And so this is where we realize that potential, and we're making steps to fix that gap within the coming months. Yeah.
Okay, stay tuned in the coming months.
I mean, it's already been announced. It's not like a new announcement. It's not a new announcement that we're building the Polkadot hubs, but yeah, within the next couple of months, we're gonna roll.
I understand. Something to anticipate. Yeah, I think like this new approach, as we're speaking, doesn't only apply to chains. As a application from Holdstation perspective, I also think that it's any platform, any product, any service that we offer, the first thing we have to look at is who are the users, or in sales, who are the customers. Before you start up, probably you ask yourself, do you have customers first? You have the target that you're aiming at first. So I love the approach of Ton example, targeting the Telegram existing huge user base. And I also think it's like so vital to incentivize, to rewards the key stakeholders, the key users of a certain platform or application. Now, speak about applications. I think Wilson mentioned neobank from Mantle. Let's talk about more applications. Well, I think the audience would love this question, is that what do you think are the next kinds of applications that people will actually use at scale, let's say in the next 12 months in crypto?
Wow, okay.
Application
trends. Okay. I think a lot of projects there's some degree of copycats, and some projects they might. Okay, let's just use the payment and neobank app as an example, right? At the end of the day, it's just a way for crypto users to off ramp into fiat, and for fiat users to get on chain, right? I'm not going to drop any names, but some projects, they might be focused more on their reward system, right? Like 4%, 5% cashback. Other protocols, they might be more focused on, I've even heard about collateralized Bitcoin lending, right? All of this is just to solve the key issue of bridging everyone's everyday finance and then making the fiat and crypto world seamless. Because, of course, if you subscribe to the belief that the future of finance will be on chain in 5 to 10 years, you'll be naturally building towards that goal, right? And in 5 years, I don't want to be able to get charged at 4% to on-ramp US dollars into stable coins, right? I just want to, whatever I'm doing on chain or off chain, it's going to be in one place for me at the same time, preferably generating sustainable yields for me and allowing me to go on with my daily life. Just like how Revolut, so Web2 neobank, how they revolutionized the space like 5-10 years ago. So personally, and it's what we're building out right now, I think institutional finance, TradFi, Web3 convergence will be a huge trend in the next 12 months.
I totally agree with you. I also think like crypto is perfect for serving transaction and payments and micro payments as well.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to, now that you brought that up, I wanted to also talk about like microloans, microfinancing because honestly, if you look at a developed country like the States, they already have very advanced TradFi infrastructure. They might not see value add in another, payment rail or another on-chain credit protocol. But if you look at LATAM, look at Africa, even Southeast Asia, there's a lot of underserved and underrepresented people that deserve access to finance. So I think by building out these projects, which will be difficult because you run into issues of liquidity and whatnot, I think it's ultimately the value add. And just as like a prelude to this bigger expansion of on-chain financial products, we have stablecoins, which has achieved like great product market fit, right? That can solve a lot of B2B cross-border payments. And I think sky's the limit.
Just talk about the underserved user base. I also have some experience with LATAM and Southeast Asian users. I can clearly see that the way they use the wallet is very different now. They don't spend much, and also they prefer maximum 3 clicks. Otherwise, then they drop. I think like these kind of stuff when developing an application out there is also very important. I am trying to serve a newer Gen Z and Gen X, Gen Y. From when they first grow up, they will be exposed to digital asset already. This is a future we could see for sure. So I am hoping to see much more innovative applications coming up. Anyone else want to share their view on which are the new trends of application that might be hot in the next 12 months? Calvin.
I'll go counter cycle and pick one that's, I think, super not sexy. Everyone's already known it, but I really think yield and lending products are actually gotten significantly better. Everyone's familiar with the stable coins, as you mentioned, but for example, I'll mention a few teams that we're not investors in, but we just think it's interesting. I'm wearing a Serena kimono as well as an example. They have a yield-bearing stablecoin in Solana. We've seen, of course, many teams come up with some, I would say, interesting, innovative products recently as well. I think Pendle just launched Boros, its fixed funding rate product as well. We're seeing a lot more people, I think, go back to wheel to maybe slightly improve some of the feature sets that we've had in the past in lending. And I think why it matters is that the DeFi, I think, storyline that we always talk about, why on-chain, I think composability is a key part of that. So as an example, Fluid, one of the OG lending related protocols, actually did more trading volume last week than Uniswap on Ethereum mainnet. And I don't think anyone's talking about this. So I really think that it's some of the, let's call it stupid stuff that nobody has been paying attention at. There's actually been truly formulaic improvements on the DeFi side that make some of these products actually have a better outcome for MEV traders, for arbitrage bots, for regular users alike. It doesn't matter. Fundamentally, we can still do better in building better DeFi products. And I think that Pendle, I think, hit its limit for its initial rollout of this Boros product. Within, I think, 48 hours of its launch, we're seeing some of the, let's call it DeFi renaissance, some old OG things everyone's kind of heard of, but they haven't used in a while. Suddenly, I think some of these teams have actually brought enough upgrades to the table now such that they truly can give better user experiences. But right now, for example, to provide stablecoin LPing into a product like Fluid, many of the LPs right now are earning more than double-digit percentages. And I think in the future, to be able to plug that into the scalability of more ecosystems like the EVM features that Polkadot will have, to add this to some of the stuff behind the scenes under the hood for the neobank features that you have, and to add a lot more quests and features to gamify these experiences inside Galxe. I see where a lot of these things, that these products are now actually better, where people should be using these products. Now, do they know how to use all those products yet? That's a different story, and that's, I think, a lot of the opportunity that we have as builders to provide our products to help make it easier and dumb down the math and the complicated risks as well, right? The impermanent loss, whatever it might be in each of these products. And I think as an advisor to a lot of product teams and as an incubator, we think a lot about how do we just stack these yield products in a more efficient way and then make it be something that is easily interfaceable for all of you guys to be able to build on top of as an ecosystem as well.
Thank you. So Calvin is saying improved DeFi protocols, lending, borrowing, but we solve these problems that have always existed, or like you can say, like have to jump through hoops. These will be a lot of opportunities for the next gen of applications. Seraya, do you have any advice for the crowd or of what you think will be the new trend?
Yeah, if we still have a minute, sure. I think, very broadly speaking, the kind of projects that are not going to feel like Web3, by using these primitives like a CK wallet with a Google login and stuff like that, they are going to be successful. And when it comes to a more specific verticals, then I think gaming is one. Gaming because it's very easy to tokenize some game items, right? And to connect successful games with blockchain is not that difficult compared to some other use cases. Maybe also insurance. But in general, like the real world stuff, are also RWAs, but the stuff that generates value in the real world and actually solves problems that are not able to be solved with traditional finance or traditional Web 2 applications. Those are the ones that gonna perform well in this cycle.
I think like from until now, we have still been focusing on financial products and financial applications. Andrew, do you think if there's a chance for more daily use applications and more like creative apps that might be more fitting when the adoption of crypto gets more and more major?
This is more of a personal perspective, not on behalf of the. I do have a different perspective on this, to be honest. I feel like within the 12 months, we're going to see a mass adoption of consumer apps. The reason why I feel it that way, financial institutions and financial instruments, there's a lot of loops to actually go through. Even though we provide like an API innovation, it's going to be hard, to be honest, to actually be compliant with each of the demographics. I'm not saying it's impossible. We're going that way. But I do feel like consumer app is going to be the killer app for within the 12 months, at least. The reason why I see it, as I said, kind of emphasize on the sector basis and demographics. You got to really think about if that sector complements the current industry, or does it innovate or replace or substitute? Depending on that perspective, the entry barrier is really high or different. So for Sergey, you mentioned about game industry. I fully agree. Game industry, it could definitely supplement, like the stable coins, transactions, in terms of transparency. But if you talk about financial instruments, to be honest, like for me I used to work at a VC, traditional VC back in the old days. It's not about the product itself. It's just regulatory clarity. That's something that we need to work together. Not, there's a product that's going to work for everyone. So that's my take on the 12 months, to be honest, on my side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andrew. It's a very interesting take. And I'm very sorry, but our time is up. And
I just wanted to say I agree with the consumer stuff. I was on a panel yesterday and I talked about the whole content tokenization, the creator economy, and it's something that's very interesting.
Thank you. I think like gaming as well. We had some interesting panel before this, but to close it up, I want to thank our panelists and speakers here for joining us today. I also would love to thank the guests that have attended today. I hope it was an interesting panel for you and that you got some juicy take from this panel. Thank you very much, organizers, for having us up here. I'll see you around.